at the top.
All right, while we're waiting everybody to shuffle in, there was one video that I wanted to show. Have you guys heard about the Wii U yet?
Heard about it, haven't seen it.
Okay, and did anybody happen to catch the keynote? I'm guessing not, if only people have heard about it. So the Wii U is the next generation Nintendo console. So let me pull something up right quick. And pull this.
These meetups of yours always cost me money.
I know, and I apologize for that. So this is only peripherally related to what we're talking about tonight, but I got a kick out of it. So let's check out the Wii U. And I want to show this specific video because it features college football, so it's kind of relevant. So check this out. John, for your benefit, the TiVo integration here. So this is kind of cool second thing. I already pre-ordered it. Yeah, consider me sold. So it was, when I first saw this video, I was confused about kind of how that was working because there's not a DVR built into the Wii U. But they're partnering with a company called iTV. Have you guys used their app before? I think it's multi-platform, definitely on iOS. It was one of the first apps that actually talked to the TiVo. So you could control your TiVo via the iPhone app. Now TiVo has their own iPhone app, but this was one of the first third-party solutions that fixed it. So they're leveraging their technology to do it. That control you see on screen there, this kind of telephone dial retro thing that allows you to hit basically favorites for each of your channels. It's kind of cool. It's kind of intuitive. I still haven't quite figured out exactly how it's talking with each other. I don't know if you have to have a TiVo stream on the local network or what. But we'll talk a little bit more about the TiVo app in a bit. So now that we've got a few folks here, why don't we go ahead and get started. So Houston App Aficionados, we've been doing this since May. It was conceived back in April during a hackathon we did. We had a bit of a hiatus during the summer while everybody was traveling, and I was tending to newborn daughters. But we're back now, excited for the fall. We're talking about football this month, so hopefully you guys in the audience are excited about it too. Social media tonight, if you're here, if you're watching online, feel free to use the ham hashtag, it's kosher. We have a project manager at work, I call him Ham Pink because that's his color, but this is ham with 2 A's. So. Yeah, that's right. And online at appaficionados.com, it basically just points to our Facebook group. So I encourage you guys to continue the conversation there. So why was the App Aficionados conceived? Well, we wanted to get people together to drink beer and eat pizza. That's basically it. But beyond that, people who are passionate about technology, like myself, like you guys, get together, connect, talk offline even once we finish up the presentation, and I just figure out what people are downloading as far as apps are concerned. In a professional context too, if we can figure out new apps to build as a result of this, all the better. It'd be kind of fun. And the idea is that people, sometimes we'll have guest speakers here, sometimes we won't. Two months ago, we had a guy who was a productivity guru presenting. So he showed up all these productivity apps. I deem him proficient in productivity. So that's the idea. We have people who are kind of experts in their field. So with that being said, there's a handful of people here. Let's just make some quick introductions. We've already given pleasantries. My name's Justin. I work at Chai One. I'm a huge football fan, a gadget geek, and kind of an app geek as well. I'm the guy that demands to buy a 64-gigabyte iPhone just so I can download a ton of apps, and I use all the space. So I am the one who runs this each month along with Kelsey Ruger in the back, and I'm happy to be here. So you're next, because you're closest to me.
Okay. I'm Michelle Price, and I just want to see what you guys are up to.
Fair enough. Up to no good is the answer. You, sir.
Oh, thank you. My name is Akil Head. I am the co-organizer for the Google Developer Group here in Houston. We're just starting, but we have our first meetup here.
Great.
November 15th.
Okay. We're leveraging your guys' technology with Google Plus Hangouts tonight, so
Exactly.
hat tip to you.
Thank you.
You bet.
So more of that to come.
Great. All right. You're up next, John.
I'm John Burnett. I'm a project manager at Chai One. And I too am a football fan. I like to see what apps people use in the long haul, and then I'll use them. I'm a late adopter. So,
You're behind that bell curve.
yes.
Okay.
I like to see what shakes out.
I'm eating pizza.
I also work at Chai One. And just to say, we came up with this idea, mostly Justin's idea. I kind of helped him push it out. We're something.
Okay.
I'm Chris Stockton. I've seen all of this in action in your house, so I'm excited to see any updates. And,
Okay.
It's pretty impressive. I also work for Chai One, by the way.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Sherwood. I also work with Chai One. We all work together. So I take care of the operations. I'm
We flew him in just for this event. That's the story I'm going with. All right. So I know a few other people are en route, but we'll go ahead and move forward and we can catch them up at the end. So let's hop right into some app demos. These are all kind of related to football, since that's the theme this month. The first one, YT Player, and I'm going to jump out of Keynote for a second. There's a study that came out probably 2 or 3 months ago that talk about how people that are adolescent right now, they don't listen to the radio, they're not necessarily listening to Spotify, they're getting their music primarily from YouTube. YouTube is their new radio. And a lot of people have created these YouTube playlists as the new mixtape. Unfortunately, on a mobile device, given the Safari YouTube implementation and the native YouTube app, the previous one in iOS 5 and the new one in iOS 6, there's no way to sequentially play a playlist within YouTube. So if you have several videos, you can't just hit play and have them all continue. You have to keep going and hitting play, hitting play, hitting play. So a third-party developer created an app called YT Player. And the reason I was seeking out just this app was because people in New Orleans are very passionate about the Saints, obviously, right? And there have been several songs written about Saints football or New Orleans in general. And someone put together a YouTube playlist of Saints songs. So let me pull up my mirroring here. And the idea here is that now, if I have my iPhone or my iPad hooked up to a boombox, I can basically put on this virtual mixtape and not have to keep hitting play, hitting play, hitting play. I can, let me just show you in action. YT play. Well, let's see, I know it's here. Let's see.
Big Brioche later.
Oh no. Did it get deleted after the iCloud restore? That's going to be super sad. Let's see.
Justin, what's the start?
With YT Space?
No, YT. Let me just do YouTube. Let's see what comes up. So I put together the slide deck before I did my restore on the iPhone 5. I bet it's on the other one. Let me see if I can AirPlay it from the iPad. I think it's here. Let me confirm now. Video player. Son of a gun. All right, so I've restored from iCloud backup both my iOS devices, and it's not here. But I've basically told you about it. What I can show you instead, and this will be kind of funny, same sort of idea, but locally. So if you have local videos, I went on a road trip to Auburn for the Auburn LSU game last week, and I have 6-month-old twins. And we have baby Einstein videos that I ripped from DVD and put on my iPad. And I needed a way to attach it to the back headrest in the back seat so they could just watch baby Einstein on loop for about 5 hours for one leg and 7 hours for the next leg. So with Video Player Lite, and this is a substitute app demo that we're going to do right now, you can put together playlists. Let me cancel this. And because I did an iCloud restore 2 days ago, they're not here. But if they're stored locally within your Videos app on your iPad, you can put together a playlist, just keep on adding the same videos over and over. So where, let's say they're half an hour each, which the baby Einstein videos are, I can queue up 20 of them in sequence, and they just put it on auto repeat. So it'll go through 20 and play again, 20 and play again. So it's the same sort of concept as YT Player, except this is for local stored apps. All right. The next one, which hopefully I have on my iPad, yes, actually this is a Mac app, but related to the football theme we're covering tonight. So if you have a modern Mac, you have built-in AirPlay functionality. I think it's everything from 2011 onward. If you are unfortunately a generation behind and they didn't have the H.264 decoder chip built into your Mac, you only have a couple of options on how to pipe video out from your machine. You can do a VGA adapter out, you can do the mini DV to HDMI adapter, or if you have an Apple TV in your house, you can buy for $9.99 an app called AirParrot. And what AirParrot allows you to do, let me hop over here, you'll see in the menu bar here is this little AirParrot icon. And it detects all local Apple TVs on your network. You'll also see my Mac listed here because I'm running an app called Reflection, which basically emulates an Apple TV. So what's nice about this, if you don't have an iPad, if you don't have an iPhone, but you want to use WatchESPN, the website, if you have ESPN in your cable package, allows you access to a huge library of college football games, college basketball, baseball, basically any collegiate sport, and some NFL games depending on licensing. You can output or extend your desktop from your Mac over to your Apple TV and basically make it a second monitor. So what this allows you to do, as I'll show you later, with NFL SundayTicket, which disables AirPlay mirroring from the iPad or the iPhone, you can get around that restriction with AirParrot. Opening up Safari, logging into NFL SundayTicket, and AirPlaying wirelessly to your Apple TV. That's how I'm watching all the Saints games this season, and I've got a video to show you guys later about it. So that's the second app from September. The third app, if you're staying abreast of what's going on in the technology press right now, you've probably heard that the map solution in iOS 6 is kind of much maligned. They did away with Google Apps in iOS 6, and now Apple, through a series of acquisitions of smaller companies over the past 24 months, has their own homegrown solution. I think that for kind of casual using, it's fine. I think a lot of the outrage is overblown. But what's really cool, and I think a generation beyond what Google is doing right now, is with the flyover functionality. So let me pull up this again. And we're going to fly around to some famous football stadiums tonight. So let me launch apps or maps here. All right, perfect. So I was demoing this to someone at work earlier. This is Jordan-Hare Stadium where I was on Saturday for the Auburn LSU game. And the idea is that if I search for something in the upper right-hand corner here, say Jordan-Hare Stadium, it drops a pin. And if I'm not in 3D mode, let me toggle 3D off. It's just, oh, my compass is acting up. Let's see if we can get it away. All right. Let's flip that back around. Okay. So, and you see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a compass, which I inadvertently activated there, and there's also this little 3D building structure. If I tap that 3D building structure, and right now I'm in Houston, you'll see the Toyota Center down there in the lower left-hand corner, I can do this kind of flying over. Let's zoom in on Discovery Green, the town, or the convention center, and as these tiles pop in, I can use multi-touch and kind of rotate this around, right? And really zoom in. And I can kind of rotate this way, rotate around this way, zoom in even more. If you've ever done the Rockets Run 5K around the Toyota Center, you're probably familiar with this part of town. You can see as I go up and down, these are 3D models. This is really nothing more than a gee whiz tech demo in my mind. I can't imagine trying to find directions using this, right? For that, I would actually want to use Google Maps. But to kind of be a virtual tourist of a different place in the world, this is kind of a cool feature. So why doesn't someone in the audience tell me a football stadium they want to fly to right quick?
Soldier Field.
Soldier Field, all right. Soldier Field. All right, and as the tiles come in here, I have never had the pleasure of going to Soldier Field. We're going to zoom in, and then we're going to toggle the 3D mode. All right, so now we can circumnavigate around Soldier Field. Is this Lake Michigan right beside it here?
Yeah.
All right, very cool. Wow, a lot of green space around it. Tailgating there?
Yes.
All right, let's see if I can rotate. Let's see what some of this tailgating action looks like. And those are boats. Yeah, marina, huh? Very cool. Okay, the Bears. So you can see we can go right in on the field and see what it looks like inside. Let's rotate this around.
How the hell would they do this?
Low altitude aircraft is what I heard. All right, another football stadium. Someone in the audience. FedEx Field. All right, for the Redskins fans in the audience. Let's see. FedEx Field. It's in Maryland.
He's trying to convince you, I think.
Who dat?
All right, who dat? I love it. All right.
Well, so I need to get 2 paper bags now.
Hey. The paper bags are not back, despite what you may have heard. Okay, so we're going in on FedEx Field here. So whereas there was a lot of green space around Soldier Field, we have a lot of parking lots and a weird UFO type layout in FedEx Field. Have you been here before, Chris?
Yeah.
FedEx Field? What was it called before that?
RFK is another stadium. RFK.
So this is new.
It's a new stadium.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of off topic, but is Apple still going to build that kind of UFO building Steve Jobs?
I've heard that they are, yeah. They got approval from the Cupertino City Council for that, if I recall. Wow, that's bizarre.
It looks like an impact crater or something.
What's that?
An impact crater with a football field.
Yeah, like a meteorite that contained a football stadium landed in the Maryland area here. All right, let's rotate this around. Redskins. All right, and just for completeness, let's look at Reliance Stadium here, since we're in Houston.
Hopefully the dome was open. It wasn't.
No, no love. So let's hop in here next to the Astrodome. And that's the old logo on Reliant too, isn't it?
Sure it is.
Now they have the kind of Web 2.0-y,
Colors.
yeah, lowercase.
Yeah. So, how long ago was that?
It's been at least one season, but I think the new season, or the new logo has been out, so they must have taken this footage prior to 2011. I wonder which of the companies that they acquired was doing this. I bet it was not Apple itself. All right, so that was...
I wonder if they're going to go out and get new images.
That's true. There's never really a pattern to that, is there? I mean...
Well, I think that's probably the most expensive part of the business, right? And
That's
the
true.
actual flying, whatever.
That requires real manpower, right? Just like the Street View does.
Yeah. It's not...
All right, so let me un-airplay this for a moment. Well, actually, the next app we're going to cover is here, so I'll keep it up. So now, the actual football app. So the other ones are just kind of peripherally related. These next ones are why you people came here tonight or are watching online. Let's see how many people. We've got 5 viewers still. Awesome. And hopefully we'll get more online later on once the YouTube video is posted. So let's pull up Reflection. All right, perfect. So let's start with college football, okay? There have been a variety of app updates and new app releases this year. Who's that? Is that Mr. Mayberry? Fantastic. Welcome, sir. All right, so let's open up the sports folder here and ESPN college football. Come on in. Look, you even wore your Rice shirt. Dress for the occasion.
Yeah, I worked for you because I knew that you didn't want another team with a bad weekend.
That's harsh.
Tigers didn't have a bad weekend, though.
So they were competitive.
Better to win.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Welcome in the back. We've got beer and pizza over here. Feel free to help yourself. All right. So we're talking the ESPN college football app right now. This was recently released just prior to the 2012 college football season. And what I like about this is I use ESPN ScoreCenter on my iPhone, iPad, and Nexus 7, but this is a bit more tailored. You'll notice over here to the left, similar to the current Facebook iPad app and the old design of the Twitter app, it has this kind of pane structure to where it'll slide over from the left to the right. You can designate certain football teams that are your favorites. So we have a multifaceted household at my house, 2 schools each. My wife, LSU and Florida State, and I'm Auburn and Tulane. Unfortunately, my wife's teams are doing great this year and mine are doing terribly. So she's been rubbing that in my face a little bit. So if you let's tap on Florida State here. It'll bring up different news stories about it, the most recent games they played, what's on deck next. You'll see we have different video clips here related to that individual team. And then over here on the right, we have a pane of tweets related to Florida State football. You can see team leaders down here. There's a lot of video content within the ESPN family of applications. You would expect that. They're pretty open about providing their video across multiple platforms. The WatchESPN app is everywhere. For sports fans like us in the audience, that's awesome because they do some of the best production work out there.
But do you have to be a subscriber?
So, good question. You do have to have, you authenticate via the TV Anywhere, so you have to be a Comcast customer, Verizon, Fios customer, AT&T, Charter. So yes, you do need to have either a part of your cable package or have someone in your family or a friend who's willing to give you their credentials.
So does the app validate that?
It does.
Download the app and then it asks.
Absolutely. So let me pull that up. So the WatchESPN app is where you get a lot of the video. Within the college football app itself, you don't have to authenticate to watch these clips. Okay, this is just if you were going to ESPN.com and watching some of the like 2-minute highlight reels from SportsCenter. However, for the WatchESPN app, when I launch this, you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, it says powered by Xfinity. So I had to log in with basically my Comcast credentials. My brother has Charter Communications. This has a little Charter logo on the upper right-hand corner. Correct. If you'll notice, so these replay. So over here in the right-hand corner, you see the little. You probably can't see it that well. Let me blow this up. There are little play buttons. So let's actual size. So over here to the right, where it has these little play buttons, if I hadn't authenticated, those wouldn't show up. So it'll just say, if you want to watch this video, you have to log in. So it's definitely targeted towards not cable cutters. It's people that just want to spread their video to other devices within their household. All right, let's bring this back down to fit. Okay. All right, the next app, we're going to pivot over to the NFL. So this is just the generic NFL 2012 app. They release an update to this each season. There are a couple of different features you can get within it depending on if you're a subscriber to some of the NFL properties. What I think is coolest about it, though, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice you can't see it on the projector, but it says Thursday Night Football Extra up here. So if you have the NFL Network as part of your cable package, you can launch this as a companion app. And NBC did a really good job of this during the Olympics, to where you would set your iPad next to you on the couch, you'd be watching the Olympics on your television, and as something was happening in real time, you would get supplementary data on your iPad. And it would say, hey, this is Kerry Walsh and Jennings. Walsh, what's the Jennings name? Does anybody know? Missy May Trainer and Missy May. Okay, so they would show different photo shoots of them, you know, their record in the Olympics from Beijing to London, previous to that, and I guess Sydney and Athens. And each time they would go to commercial break, they would do a summary of the segment you had just seen. Same sort of idea with this Thursday Night Football Extra. As people are between plays, you get to predict what the next play is going to be. And then you get to see if you actually picked it correctly when they run the play. You can do little trivia quizzes about different players on the roster for each team. And then you're competing against other people, just like you do kind of bar trivia when you're out at a bar and you're doing, they give you those little hardware devices. You know, what's the brand of that called? There's they're little yellow keyboards, and I know they have them at Buffalo Wild Wings, but I can't remember the name. You guys have seen them, though. This is the same sort of idea, but on your iPad, and you're competing nationally. So you can see who's the smartest about football, and then you get a lot of facts and everything. So that's one area of the NFL app that I think is really cool. That's new this year. If I go over to Game Center here, I have this usually pulled up next to me on my couch on Sundays just to see all the scores there, either on my iPad or on my Nexus 7, which I'll show you guys here in a little bit. If you are more of a radio guy, maybe you grew up listening to football on the radio, you couldn't always get the Saints games on TV like me, you can subscribe to Audio Pass through NFL and listen to all of the live game broadcasts through here. It's $24.99 for the season, or I think you can do individual games. The corollary to that, which I'll be showing a video of here in a second, is NFL Game Rewind, where you get not live, but all the condensed versions of the game or the actual broadcast the day after.
Do you have to be a cable subscriber?
Not for this. Not for this. There's no tie. So if you're a cable cutter, this is perfect.
If you're a Saints fan, can you get a refund?
We're just going to gloss over that question for right now. I'm going to edit this later, but yeah, there's no Saints hating today.
Pretty true to the logo. They're changing the logo where the S kind of falls off.
Ignoring that. Moving on. Okay, for this next one, actually, why don't I un-airplay this? And to appease those in the audience or online that propose that this is only an iOS-specific event, it is not. We do have some Android love here. So I want to show you guys on the Nexus tablet. There's not a great way to mirror from the Nexus tablet. I've done a lot of research over the past 2 months on the best way to do it. The easiest and most cost-effective way is to AirPlay it from your iPhone via the camera. And this is kind of janky, I admit, but that's what we're going to do for right now. So, all right, MacBook Pro mirroring done. We're going to activate the camera, and we're going to look at the Nexus 7 tablet. Okay, let's focus. All right, let's get in there a little closer, and I'm going to make this bigger for this tech demo. Nice. Actual size. Okay. That should be better. Okay, so let's go down here, get all our apps pulled up. The one I want to show is an ESPN property. And you'll notice you do have, let's tap to focus here. All the major brands are available on Android as well. The SEC mobile app, NFL Game Rewind, NFL Preseason Live, which is kind of like NFL SundayTicket. It allows you to watch all the preseason games live. It's $20 for the 4 weeks of the preseason play. The one I'm looking for, let's see, ScoreCenter, okay, up top here. So because the TiVo app for the Nexus 7, the NFL SundayTicket app for the Nexus 7 and the NFL Game Rewind app for the Nexus 7 are not as good as their iOS counterparts, just as a matter of fact. I use this mostly for static data. So for streaming video, the Android devices are not really up to par from a won't crash standpoint, from a audio volume standpoint, from a video quality standpoint. So I use this mostly for data consumption. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So what I showed you guys before on the NFL app, to where you have the scoreboard, the box scores, I kind of use this to the side on the couch each Sunday to keep up with the apps, or excuse me, the scores of the games. It has a similar feature set to what you would find on the iOS counterpart. But if you'll notice, this looks kind of like a phone app blown up, right? It's not necessarily utilizing the bigger space on the 7-inch screen in the same way that you would see on an iPad.
It looks a lot like their fantasy football app, which is much more, has much more dense information.
You're right. So you're right, there's a lot of wasted space over here, and you can't rotate this to optimize it at all within the specific app. So
in the fantasy app, you can watch video on particular players. It's a little more involved. That looks a little more skeleton-like, because I think, like you said, that they use some of that information across all of the properties.
you're right, you're absolutely right. So this is an app that, again, just raw data, not looking to stream video, not looking to stream audio. It's just there as kind of supplementary information. So speaking of data dense, let me un-airplay this and go back to the iPad right quick. Turn this off and go back to the iPad. So I had never heard about this app until I started researching some other apps as part of this presentation, and I ran across one called College Football Stats. So let me airplay this. And the name is kind of deceiving because it's a lot more than just stats. Pull that down. Okay, we'll make it nice and big for this one. So go into the sports part here. It's down here at the very bottom. Not a lot of flashy graphics. It's kind of replicating the newspaper experience at first, so the box scores. Let's pick, since we got Ben in the audience here, let's see if we have Rice at all. It's going to be funny if we don't, but no, we have Rice. All right, fantastic. So I'm going to choose Rice as the team I want to analyze. Then I'm going to click Next. And let's say the season range, the past 2 years, I'm going to have all these game matchups options toggled on. Don't really care about filtering here. I just want a huge data dump. So I'm going to click Next here for the search criteria. Okay, and you'll notice what happens is on a per week basis, I can choose the results of the game. So if I scroll to the very bottom, I should have the most recent game. This was last weekend, a 51-54 overtime loss versus Marshall. So, I'm sorry? I'm sure they were robbed. It's a lot of offense, not a lot of defense. So on the right-hand side, you'll notice I get a lot of box scores, the Marshall passing, Rice passing, rushing yards. These scroll individually, so I'm scrolling on the Rice side right now. From defense, the tackles, punting, kick returns. Now, if you shift your attention back over to the left to where it has that kind of film strip icon, I'm not sure how many results I'm going to have as a result of it being Rice, but we'll give it a shot. This will flip it around to YouTube and search for Marshall versus Rice 2012. And these are not always legal clips, but they're ones that made it through the content filter on YouTube. I was shocked by what I found when I searched for Auburn. So let me just give you a quick demo there. There are full games that were broadcast on CBS, which are just uploaded by random users, which if you didn't catch it and you don't have, if you're a cable cutter, you maybe don't have access to the WatchESPN app, sometimes you can catch an entire game via the YouTube.
I think the ones that they broadcast like on ESPN 3, ESPN College, I think ESPN, some of those are free no matter what app you use on the web. Anyway.
So right now you'll notice it has the Rice results mixed in with Auburn, but I'm I'm going to tap the Auburn versus LSU film clip. And so you'll notice I have some highlights here. This is a 10-minute clip. It looks like someone shot last year, the third one from the left at the top. Some first quarter footage. You'll notice, if you can see, this is a 45-minute clip over there, the furthest right on the top row. So presumably this is the entire first quarter that someone has uploaded. As a football fan, awesome. From a content provider standpoint, maybe not as awesome, but I'm sure there'll be issue to take down notice long enough. Idea is get to it on Sunday, the day after the games, if you want to watch some of the coolest clips. So that is the College Football Stats app. All right, another one that I just discovered as a result of just poking around on the App Store was this Sports Illustrated Rivals app. And let me go to all rivalries here. So as you might expect, some of the biggest rivalries, both across college and the NFL, are highlighted here. I've been focusing a lot on Auburn because I have a special place for them in my heart, but we're in Texas, so why don't I pick Texas versus Oklahoma? Okay? And so they kind of have this kind of neat parallax effect as I'm scrolling back and forth here to where the different layers move independently of each other. If this 1900 rivalry for a new century call in at the top there, I can tap on more, and it gives me a couple of screens here that tell me more about kind of how this got started, what the results of some of the first games were, old photos of the stadium. If you're a fan of football history, both college or pro, this is awesome. This is a lot of fun. I learned a lot about some of these other rivalries. USC, Notre Dame, Cowboys, Redskins. I think there's a Florida versus Georgia one. Yeah, and Army versus Navy. It doesn't really get any more historical than that. You can see some of the old uniforms, tearing down the goalposts there. So this app is really, really cool. Definitely something to kind of dig into on a weekend after the games are off. All right. So this next app that I want to show is back on the iPhone. Let me hop over there right quick. And it's an app that I found out about from a Facebook posting in one of the Auburn alumni Facebook groups. It's from a guy in Washington, D.C., and the app is called YellowFlag. Okay? And let me show you what YellowFlag is all about. Let's see if I can move this up. That looks pretty good. Okay, YellowFlag. So YellowFlag is in the penalty flag that's thrown during football games. So let's launch this. The idea behind YellowFlag is if you are not a football fan and you happen to be on Twitter or Facebook on Saturday or Sunday, you're probably frustrated by the inundation of football-related tweets. If you're concerned about offending your friends and maybe you don't want to push all those football-related tweets to your various social networks, maybe you use an app like YellowFlag. The idea is you can connect this to your social graphs on both Facebook and Twitter, pull that information in, and then chat about the games you're watching or the games you just watched within the confines of this app. You'll notice right here, I had this pulled up for the Carolina Panthers versus Saints game, and it's now over. But if I go and tap the top right-hand corner where you see the chat bubbles, you'll notice I can talk about Auburn games here. So these were people talking about the Auburn game 3 days ago. They held him to a field goal. That's great. He missed the field goal. So these are people not only in my social graph, but anyone that's using the YellowFlag platform, they're talking about these individual games. What about the Saints? Probably a lot of people crying there on Sunday. So I'm not picking the Saints again this weekend. This was from 2 weeks ago, so nobody was chatting about it because probably all the Saints fans have checked out for the season, going back in a paper bag mode, as Kelsey has said. But let me go back to all here and see if I can find a different game for an upcoming one. So let's go to Huddle here. You'll notice these are different people I've connected with near the bottom, so some of my friends from Facebook. You'll notice Kelsey's there in the middle right above New Orleans because he's a Saints fan. In private, he just won't admit it. And there is a way, let's see, that's the Huddle. These are friends. You can add different friends to it. So this is pulling in all my friends from Facebook that I just want to talk to them about games. And let's go tap. Okay, so I tapped the final clock there at the top, and you'll notice I can tap the NFL icon and choose upcoming games as well. So let's say I wanted to talk about the Houston Texans versus Tennessee Titans. I select that. You'll notice it starts on the 30th at 12 p.m. And then now that I have that selected, I can start talking about it by dropping some knowledge. So anyone within my social graph that has YellowFlag will see all my message related to that. So it's kind of one of those chicken and the egg problems. If there aren't a lot of people using the app, it's not as valuable, and it's not valuable until a lot of people are using the app. So it's prudent to invite a lot of your friends from your Twitter graph or Facebook graph that you know are into football, and hopefully they'll download the app so all your communication will be consolidated there. So that's YellowFlag. And I believe we sent the guy who founded YellowFlag a link to our stream tonight, so maybe he can watch it. Or maybe he is watching it right now. All right. So
where is it being streamed?
On YouTube, via the Google Plus Hangouts on Air.
So you have a hangout for this group on Google Plus.
Correct.
And what's the name of it?
Let me, if you go to twitter.com/App Aficionados, I posted the link there. Yep. Okay, so the next thing is not an app, but it's a function of iOS 6, which was introduced a week and a half ago, I guess, on the 19th. Or I guess a week ago today, in fact. And if you've been keeping up with some of the recent announcements for the iPhone 5 and also iOS 6, they announced a feature called Panorama Mode. Okay, and with Panorama Mode, let me switch this around. The idea is, and I'll actually have to hold it this way, you can tap Panorama, and then it has this little arrow, which is going to come up in a moment, hopefully, unless reflection is frozen. Okay, perfect. And you can pan across the room like this, and as long as you're holding that arrow steady, it's using software going to piece together a panorama photo. And I'll tell you in a moment why that's important for football. So just as a tech demo, I'm going to move this. It tells me to slow down. I'm trying to keep it level. Bring it back down. Bring it back down. All the way around. I probably should have started a little closer to the screen. Okay. And the end result, if I go here, if I look at it, there you go. So a panorama image of inside start. Now why that's cool in the context of football, if I go back to my Photos app.
You like turn your twins into twin couples.
I know, I've got double the twin action now. It's dangerous. So I created an album here called Panoramas, and these were panoramic images I shot both in Jordan-Hare Stadium last week, which I'll show you here. So you can notice up here, I was moving it a little too fast, and I wasn't keeping the arrow straight. So I had this weird kind of black bar that ends up at the top. But this is in the upper deck of Jordan-Hare Stadium. Started over here, panned all the way around, and it ends up in a pretty cool photo. And this is 28 megapixels once it's pieced together. So really, really high density. I can zoom in. I don't think it will show here. But if you zoom in, you're getting a lot of detail. You can see, I think, there are actual players down on the field right now. You can't see it from this angle. I think I got one of the band as well.
Yeah.
What's that FREEdi?
What's that?
They're looking at you like,
You know, what is he doing? So now this is once the sun goes down, even cooler, right? I mean, the colors really pop there. And my Facebook banner, yeah, that's true. This was in front of the stadium prior to going in earlier that day. It's a bust of John Heisman right in front of the stadium. And this was at Toomer's Corner. Those of you familiar with college football, this is trees that got poisoned by an Alabama fan after Alabama won the national championship. Tradition is Auburn fans throw toilet paper in the trees after a home win there. So they have these little fences around them right now because they're trying to salvage them. Unfortunately, they don't look very good, as you can tell. But this is where it's kind of like the crossroads of Auburn, Alabama. He got arrested in Louisiana over the weekend under charges of terrorism. So, being himself, you know, what would you expect? I think he was harassing a retail associate or something. Okay, so that's the Panorama feature of iOS 6. So now I've alluded to it a couple times. Let me un-airplay this. There are some apps that just wouldn't have made sense to demo today because they're only active on the weekends, like NFL SundayTicket. The TiVo app that only works on your home network if you have a TiVo Stream or a TiVo Premiere on the same local network. So 2 Sundays ago, I recorded a few of these videos, and they really show off what some of the apps will do when they're inside your house. So I want to show these. The first is a TiVo app demo, and let's open up QuickTime here. All right. I don't think I talked in this one. That's the built-in app. Yeah, I forgot to use the other one. Okay. So let's see if this plays appropriately. Okay, so no audio to this. So this is talking to a TiVo box on my local network. These are different recordings I've done over the past several days. I have the ULM versus Auburn game, a show about Auburn football every day. They talk about behind the scenes of the football program. And I can watch on the TV or the iPad. In this case, I'm choosing to stream from my DVR over the local network to my iPad. And I can download these to take them away from the local network if there is no copy protection flag enabled. Some programs from Comcast or Time Warner, they will flag them. You can't download them. Basically, all HBO programs too. They won't let you take it off the local network. So this one, I'm streaming over the local network here. I can toggle the volume. You'll see over there to the right. When you're downloading these, and I think I demo it here in a second, you have the option to do different quality settings. So this is in the middle of the Alabama-Arkansas game. Didn't turn out so great for the Razorbacks. You can see the little red circle indicates it's still recording. So I want to watch on iPad the ULM versus Auburn game here. You'll notice I can scrub through it very quickly. This had been recorded a week before I shot this video, so the entire game has already been stored on the DVR. You'll notice it's 3 hours showing down here.
Still seeking their first win of 2012.
Once that disappears, you notice I'm scrubbing to the middle, fast forward right to a field goal, no lag. I mean, this is coming over the local network wirelessly. The TiVo Stream box is hardwired in, but everything from the router to the iPad is still wireless. And the video quality is great.
You know, I used that WatchESPN app the other day with the text thing.
So this is that download option I just want to point out right quick. So if I want to take it off the local network, maybe I'm hopping a flight, and I don't want to use up all the space on my iPad, I can downgrade the quality, and it'll transcode it before it downloads it. And it takes about, I think, half an hour, 15 minutes for a half-hour program to transcode and download, and about half an hour for a 1 hour episode to download. So it's not super fast, and it's not like downloading from the iTunes App Store or the iTunes TV and movie store. And the one thing I'll point out here, you can also search on your local channel guide. Let's say I know I have 20 ESPN channels, but I don't remember the numbers. I can just type in ESPN and hop directly to that channel. All right. So what were you saying about the A&M game, Kelsey?
So Auburn is actually real time. So I was watching the game, and I got up to go do something with the kids, and I missed his 40-yard touchdown. So I was able to, on the ESPN app, get to that point like within 2 minutes. And so they're doing it real time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's live.
Go back and read if you aren't recording and you want to go back and see it now.
That is a cool feature of it. You're absolutely right. Okay, so that's the TiVo app. The app is free. It does require that you have at least a TiVo Premiere to use. And if you want to stream it from your DVR to the iPad, you have to add an additional hardware component to your home network configuration called the TiVo Stream. I think it's retailing for $129 right now. It'll probably be $100 for the holidays. Otherwise, you can still see all the information about the app or the TV shows that are on your DVR, but you can't watch them or download them. So that's the TiVo app. All right, the next one, NFL SundayTicket. This is kind of the holy grail of football, right? Either you're going to throw Comcast away and go dish DirecTV in order to get it, or if you wait to the week before the football season, they offer an online-only package. They don't publicize it very heavily. They actually want you to be a DirecTV subscriber. This season, it was $249 for the season. That's a lot of money. I did the math, though, and I said, okay, if my wife and I are each watching all the Saints games, it turns out to less than $10 per game for each of us. If you go out to Buffalo Wild Wings and you sit there for 3 hours, you're probably dropping around $100 a game. So the economics made sense. Probably not. That's my rationale for it. So you're sitting there for 3 hours. You have a few pitchers of beer. I mean, wings. I mean, it adds up. And then you're also out there with a bunch of jokers, and usually they don't have the Saints audio on the loud system as the Cowboys, and that in and of itself is sad. So, all right, so this, I'm going to show you two implementations of the NFL SundayTicket package. One is what I talked about earlier, streaming via either AirParrot or AirPlay mirroring from your Mac to your Apple TV that allows you to get around all the restrictions. If you don't care about that and you're not interested in watching on your television, you can use the iPad app and use it there. So I've got demos for each of those. This first one is from my Mac, and I'm going to make this full screen. Let's see. Okay, you'll notice a few things here which are notable. Some, you can't get around blackout restrictions. Okay, this one the game was over, so I can't play that. You can't replay games via the SundayTicket app, which is unfortunate. However, in the highlights section, this was right after the Saints versus Panthers game, I can go back to notable plays within the game and be able to watch it within the web version of NFL SundayTicket. So I'm going to pull up, I think, a field goal here in a moment. A lot of Cam Newton highlights that day, for better or worse.
Strength and plenty of leg for Garrett.
No, I haven't. Okay, so that was just demoing one of the highlights. I'm going to click on another game. This was recorded on the 16th, Sunday, September 16th at 4:30. So this is in the second half of the afternoon. All the 12 o'clock games are over. So I'm going to try to watch this one, but it's local broadcast. I can't stream it. I ran into the same problem this past Sunday for the Saints game. I couldn't watch it on my iPad because it wasn't sold out.
And Eddie Royal is buried in a penalty marker.
It wasn't sold out,
for San
so
Diego.
I was subject
Clary
to blackout
and Rosario, who's back
like
in the
I was living
lineup,
in the local
were out
area.
in front trying to block for the slip screen.
I can toggle the video quality. I've noticed that the best
Jack
setting
Brown
is
in on that
automatic.
stop,
Even
getting
though I
an
have
opportunity
high bandwidth
because
at home, if it tried to force high all the time, it would stutter some. If I left it at automatic, I never got any video or audio dropout. I can break it down into a separate window, as you're seeing here. This is called mini mode.
Chat with our experts live every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network and at CBSSports.com/live.
You were awesome this morning on that show.
You watched?
I did.
Oh, you are so dedicated to the team.
Weird commentary
You are
between the two guys announcing it, kind of awkward.
Chat with our experts.
The game mix was something I was really interested in at first. In practicality, not as useful. So this allows me to go into a quad view. I can select multiple games here. If I'm into fantasy football, in theory, this is awesome. But again, I'm running into some of the blackout restrictions here. There are more games going on at 12 as opposed to the afternoon. So if you're going to try to use this, I recommend doing it during the 12 o'clock.
Remember how I was talking a minute ago about
blackout
getting hands
rules.
on guys when they're releasing from the line of scrimmage? You're on the 3-yard line
The
and you don't
games
get
have
your
to be
hands on
live
Danny
and
Emmett.
play.
Diego will punt with Mike Cypress.
So it's a good decision to
I can
decline
toggle
that
the
penalty to
audio
bring up a
within
third
each
down. The
frame there,
Chargers
which is kinda
have failed to
nice.
convert their last 2 third downs. They did convert the field goal last possession, but now
Mike Cypress, he's been one of the best punters in the
Notice
NFL
video
throughout his
quality
career.
here
Now his
adjusted pretty
10th
quick.
year in
Now I
the
can do
league.
picture in picture.
10th year in the league.
Keep
Right
the
now.
blackout restriction.
Fair catch, not taking any chances. And Tennessee's going to have it at the 14-yard line,
so now
trailing
it's
17-0
right?
here in the second quarter.
You can't watch an NFL broadcast today without seeing a dubstep IE9 commercial, so... Yeah, this is not IE9, this is actually Safari. So now, this is full screen, right? This is how I watch the Sunday games. So now, it goes full screen.
Okay, sports fans, put your game face on. It's the Built Ford Tough Sales Event. Ford F-150 with EcoBoost, smash mouth V8 power with long yardage V6 fuel efficiency. The best combination of torque and fuel economy is the dual threat the competition can't match. Check out Ford F-150 with EcoBoost.
From your Mac, not your iOS device.
Now get 0% financing for 60 months plus $1,000 towards your trade-in on F-150 at the Built Ford Tough Sales Event.
So
NFL.com Fantasy Football. It's as free as this gasp of air.
It's serious fun!
So I kind of wish that this walkthrough would have existed prior to me pulling the trigger. I don't know how eager I would have been to do it if I knew that I was going to run into blackout restrictions, really get a feel for how the quad breakout works. I mean, yeah, it's still better than going to a sports bar. It's not, nirvana, though, when it comes to NFL football on Sundays. It is, however, better than the iPad app. So we're going to get to the iPad app here in just a moment. But next, I talked about NFL Game Rewind. This app to subscribe for the season is $39. What is really cool about this app is if you happen to not catch a single game or you didn't catch one of the games on Sunday, on Monday, if you want to catch a consolidated version of it, you can watch an entire game in about 28 minutes. So they cut out all the commercials, all the downtime between plays. You can really watch an abbreviated version. I was able to watch the Texans-Broncos game on Monday in 29 minutes. And that game lasted forever if you were watching it. So the idea is it's not a replacement for NFL Sunday Ticket. If you want to watch the game live, NFL Game Rewind is not your choice. However, if you don't care about watching it live and you still want to see all the games, Game Rewind is a pretty affordable option, $40 a season. So this is the iPad app we're going to demo. All right, here I'm going to demo. I'm sorry? For the entire league. Every single game, every single team, no blackout restrictions because you're watching it a day later. But I mean, this is probably the best value for your money if you're an NFL fan. NFL Game Rewind. So I'm watching it from the system tray here. Goes ahead and launches. And you can see it's authenticated to me here. Next game is the Saints versus Panthers tomorrow. Got about 19 hours till kickoff. But let's say I want to go back to week 1 and watch perhaps, well, since the Saints didn't do so well against the Redskins, I won't rewatch that one. But maybe I picked the Texans-Dolphins game. So you'll notice it's going to ahead and load here. So it's a little loud. Let's see if I can change that. Yeah, it's crazy loud. Let me get this back. Alright, so let's say I want to go to the condensed version. So now I can watch the entire broadcast in about 28 minutes here. So I blow this up to full screen. So you'll notice it jumps from one play to the next, announcing penalties and whatnot. Then it immediately fades to the next play. Reggie Bush, former New Orleans lore, then immediately to the next play. So kind of a cool way to watch the entire screen, maybe over your lunch break on Monday morning. So let me drop the volume a little more, because it's a little loud. You're going to have babies sleeping upstairs. Okay, let's go there, refocus this. See that pretty good. Now, this is called All 22, something new within the Game Rewind package of this year. Basically, it's the coach's film, taken from the top of the stadium. Let me go a little bigger here, if I can, actually. Yeah, here we go. And I can put on a telestrator and kind of do X's and O's. Go, da, da, da. Don't like these guys. They're not doing well. Undo it. Jump back in time. And undo. How do I get out of here? Exit full screen. Go back to the coach's film. And going to tap that. Tap that.
Yeah.
That frustrated a lot of coaches. It doesn't appear there's any audio with coach's film. Like I said, it's really just trying to show all 22 players on the screen at any given time. You can notice all out here, all here. So kind of cool if you're really into the X's and O's. Now let's go back to maybe especially Belichick. Let's see what was happening in Week 8. Same sort of thing. I can check and watch the New Orleans Rams game. And I want to do the condensed version, so let's tap up.
So that's another really cool thing, that I can go back to previous seasons and watch games, all the way back to 2009.
So this was St. Louis. We're watching a condensed version. And you notice it fades directly between plays. So this is I think, $35 for the year. Gives you access to previous years. Kind of cool if you don't want to pay for NFL Sunday Ticket and you don't mind watching the game a day late.
All right, so that's NFL Game Rewind, and like I said, probably the best value of any of the apps you have to pay for. All right, the next one, Kelsey was alluding to this one earlier, WatchESPN app. If you have cable credentials, you can log into it. This is fantastic for college football. The reason I say that is you can have on your iPhone, your iPad, if you have multiple iPads in your house, you basically end up with a ton of televisions around you because you can be streaming all these live. And the last video I'll show you guys shows you what I did the 2 Sundays ago for that. It's like football nirvana. It's fantastic. So this is the WatchESPN app. All right, let's play this.
All right, the next one we're going to demo is the WatchESPN app. Most of you have probably at least heard of this or seen commercials for it. You'll notice up here at the top we have a live now, upcoming, and replay. Why don't I look at some of the recent replay games? For instance, Virginia Tech got upset by Pittsburgh today. So if I want to hit a little play button here, I can watch that from earlier today. You'll notice about 3.5 hours. Tap here, volume up. I can play this. The airplaying actually does work from the WatchESPN app, where some of them, like NFL Sunday Ticket, it doesn't. So let me fast forward to here. High-speed scrubbing. You'll notice Pittsburgh down ahead, knocked off the Hokies today. Kind of surprising. So what's also kind of cool about this, you can search going way back. So you go Auburn here, search. Alright, so I can see upcoming games. Here I'm going to actually be in Auburn for that game next weekend. Let's go to replay here. You can see the UL Auburn game from earlier today. Last weekend, unfortunately, Auburn lost to Mississippi State. Maybe I'm a masochist and I want to see that again. If I've been watching it from some other device, it'll immediately remember where I last stopped watching it at. So I was about an hour into it on another device. So you'll notice it picked up there. This is also a great way. My parents are in Saudi Arabia, and they were able to watch the Auburn UL game today via the WatchESPN app, even though they're on the other side of the planet. So kind of a cool app.
The video quality on that is unparalleled. It's amazing relative to all the NFL apps. So.
Another app that I need to see that basically what these guys did is, you know, the closed circuit TV that they have to show the game to the fans in the stadium.
Right.
They somehow tapped into that. And so like when Blue Age isn't on TV, I can watch it, but it's always the feed from the stadium.
Is that legal? What do you know what it's called?
It's a web app.
Oh, it's a web app. Okay. And does it work on iOS? Okay, so you watch it on your iPad. Very cool. There was an app I had, I think it was called TVii USA, and it was only in the App Store for about 48 hours. And they yanked it after it because it took streams of
television in the United States that was broadcast internationally, like ESPN USA, I think is one of the apps, or one of the channels that if you live in Europe, Chris, you may know this. What's the ESPN version they have in Europe? It's like, I'm sorry?
Sky?
No, it's actually an ESPN branded channel, but it's not one you can get in America. It was like ESPN America or ESPN USA, or they have a lot of football games on there that aren't normally broadcast on ESPN. It's kind of like an affiliate for international audiences. Whatever that is that Chris can't remember right now, that was one of the channels you could get within that pirate app that was only available for, I'm sorry?
Eurosport has Eurosport.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's it. Okay, so the WatchESPN app, really fantastic stuff. It only came to Comcast customers over the summer, I think in May. Last season, it was only available on 3 providers, so they hadn't worked out all the licensing agreements with anyone beyond Verizon. They didn't have Time Warner, AT&T. It was a couple of regional carriers, but now they have a much broader footprint. I still don't think they have AT&T, though, as one of the providers. So if you're with Comcast, though, you do have access. All right, so I mentioned earlier the NFL SundayTicket iPad app. Great if you're away from your house. Great if you're at a hotel, don't have access to plug your iPad into something else, because they do actively disable you from trying to port the video out of the iPad onto other devices. So no AirPlay functionality. It disables the HDMI AV connector in the same way that the HBO Go app does. So they're really locking it down. They want you to watch it only on the device. In the same way that I can't get video out of my Nexus 7, you can't get any video out of this. Programmatically, they can flag it to where it does not allow video output through the dock connector. So, in fact, I'll show you what it looks like. So let me try to AirPlay it. There's no live video from this right now from the NFL SundayTicket because it's not Sunday. However, the HBO Go app has the same sort of functionality. So.
They can do it for long. I mean, they can do it for now, but it sounds like something that is a challenge.
So if you jailbreak your iOS device, you can spoof it to where it doesn't detect that there's a connector done, and it'll AirPlay fine. So they're actively disabling it. It's not a technical restriction. All right, so HBO Go I'm launching here. This is obviously not football related, but we're sorry, HBO Go does not support HDMI video out.
But do you know that they are going to have that a la carte?
I've heard that.
Europe now, where you don't have to have cable at all.
For cable cutters, that's fantastic. You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, not in the States yet, as you've alluded to.
I mean, I imagine HBO would like to go directly to the customer, right?
The economics, I mean, as long as that makes sense, there's no reason for them not to provide that to customers as an option. But they do get paid a lot from cable providers and satellite providers to make it only available through their subscription packages. So, but
the incentive is not to make it available on their app.
So it is, to be clear, it is available here, right? So you'll notice what's being displayed here on my iPad is different than what you're seeing on the projector right now. So they are actively disabling it. They don't care if I watch it on my iPad, but the moment I try to send it out to a television, they get squeamish. So they're trying to disable that. It doesn't matter if it's going via an HDMI or VGA connector out of the dock connector or wirelessly via AirPlay. They just don't want to allow that. So let's go back to the home screen here. All right, and let me disable this for a moment. Okay, so this next one I'm going to show you is what the NFL SundayTicket iPad app looks like, acknowledging that you're not going to be able to AirPlay out of it. All right, we're going to show off the NFL SundayTicket iPad app here. So it's Sunday afternoon, about 4:30. The afternoon games are on. You'll notice it immediately launches into the NFL Red Zone channel once it gets past the fantasy football plug. So showing the Cleveland-Cincinnati game from earlier. You'll notice up here showing the Red Zone channel highlighted and now playing. And if I go to a game from earlier, like Houston-Jacksonville, it'll show me the game's over and tell me to tune in next week. But I can check out different highlights from the game. So
There was a really good Ben Tate touchdown run. So why don't we check that out? I can go full screen with this. Alright, touchdown. So go back here. Back to this view. There are a few games going on right now. You'll notice here on this side, I've got in progress right now the Redskins, Rams, Jets, Steelers, Titans, Chargers. A few of these games are blacked out for whatever reason, but I believe the Titans, Chargers game I can see. So what else is this? So this is streaming live. Excuse me. And I can blow this up. Now, unfortunately, we can't AirPlay this to an Apple TV. That's why I was showing earlier from a MacBook Pro where there are no restrictions AirPlaying into an Apple TV. But if you want to use this as a second screen while you're watching a normal football game on your TV, it's kind of convenient. So, let's see, I can go with volume here, do a 30-second rewind, go back in, back out. The AirPlay icon is there, but if I try to AirPlay it, I'll just get an error message, and I have a photo of what that looks like that I'll show you guys later. This guy, fast out the gate. The video quality on this app not quite as good as the NFL Game Rewind or Preseason Live, but not too bad for an iPad app. And I would say the video quality when playing from their website is a little better. So you'll also notice on here, you can see standings, upcoming schedules by week and team, which you can toggle by. And really you only get the 12 p.m. Central and 3:30 p.m. Central games here. Within the NFL Sunday Ticket, they also show the Monday and Sunday and Thursday night games in here, but you can't actually see anything within it. The settings are somewhat limited. You can see I'm logged in right now. It auto refreshes. If you're streaming this over 3G or 4G, it will tell you if you're using a lot of your bandwidth up. And presumably, if you were a DirecTV customer, which I am not, you could set this to record to different DVRs within your house. So right now, this doesn't do anything for me because I'm a Comcast customer. So let's take one more look. See if we can get this. Nope. Blacked out. This one. Alright, so let's go to highlights. Bring this back full screen. So this is what the DirecTV NFL SundayTicket iPad app looks like, circa 2012.
So, not too bad. Again, if you're not worried about playing it out to your television, if you do want to get it out to your TV, best to go from your Mac via AirParrot if you don't have a recent one, or via the built-in AirPlay mirroring functionality. All right, so I alluded to this earlier. Chris already kind of gave a plug. What does it look like in action if you're just going full throttle, you're trying to immerse yourself in 1,000 games simultaneously at your house as opposed to Buffalo Wild Wings? So this next video is a demo of that. And then I'll see if I can show you the NFL mobile app from Verizon. I just downloaded it yesterday. I haven't tried even demoing it via AirPlay, and we'll just kind of open it up to discussion. So again, this is kind of the culmination of all the apps working together. All right, here's an example of all of the apps kind of working together in action. So you'll notice I'm AirPlaying from NFL SundayTicket via the web browser. I've got this pulled up on a MacBook Pro. Typically I have this sitting on a shelf over here, but right now, just for the purposes of demoing it, I've got that AirPlaying wirelessly to an Apple TV over there. Let me go ahead and send this full screen. Notice it goes full screen here. I got it full screen on the TV over there now. So I'm going to move this to the side like I normally would. Now this is, again, via the NFL SundayTicket package. Now on these two iPads right here, this is the TiVo app. You'll notice you have the regular TV controls. So I'm recording this from my Comcast cable package over there on the TiVo, and there's a little TiVo stream box coming as well. So I've got one game playing to this iPad. I have another game playing here. Earlier, when I was demoing the NFL Sunday Ticket iPad app, you'll notice that a couple of those games were blacked out. Well, both of those games I'm able to access here. So if you're using a combination of both your cable package and the NFL Sunday Ticket, you can pretty much see every game that would be available in the afternoon. And then down here as well, just kind of keeping a tab on the scores, I have the NFL or the ESPN ScoreCenter app pulled up on my Nexus 7. So this is a very common setup for the 2012 season that I'm using. Let me zoom in on that guy. So one game on the right via an iPad, one game on the left, scores on the Nexus, and then one full screen game up here. It's worked out pretty well. Same sort of thing for college football. I'll have WatchESPN on one of these, WatchESPN on the other, and then one of the normal cable package games up here. So it's a great time to be an NFL and college football fan.
So the one thing I'll add to that as well, you can't have multiple instances of NFL Sunday Ticket pulled up simultaneously. So while I can watch one game via WatchESPN on one iPad, one game via WatchESPN on another iPad, I can't do the same thing with NFL Sunday Ticket. So if I try to activate it on one device and I log in on the other, it'll log me out of the first device and say, you have logged in from 2 devices, you're now only logged in here. Same thing from the web browser. If you're logged in from the web browser, it'll log you off on all your mobile devices in the NFL Sunday Ticket app. Kind of a pain in the ass, honestly. It would be better if you're paying $250 a season, they would just give you access to it, but unfortunately that's not the way the licensing works right now. Any questions about this so far? I know we've kind of asked some as we went along, but...
Are you worried about cancer with all those devices?
Are you worried about cancer right now? There's a lot of radio waves in this.
True.
And someone's airplaying directly to my computer. Wow. This is the risk you run, I guess, when you have an open Wi-Fi network like this. All right.
Yellow flag, after talking about, like, would you use that on your phone? Or would it make sense to use that on your iPad?
So right now, the YellowFlag app is only available on the iPhone, if I recall. Let me validate that right quick. iTunes Store.
It would be kind of cool if you're looking at a game and you can see the tweets of your friends, like overlaid over the game.
Right.
You know, like usually you have the commentary and.
So did you see in the Wii U demo I gave at the very beginning, that's kind of the same concept. So where you have the game up on your television and you have the second screen experience where it links to your Twitter social graph, and as people are watching simultaneously, it maps it to certain points in the broadcast, and that's happening locally on the Wii U, to where you could go back in time and see the timeline of your tweet stream relative to that game. So I think it kind of is in line with what you're talking about. With YellowFlag right now, there's no notion of being temporal in that respect, I guess. And there is no iPad app right now. It's only iPhone.
How many have web versions? How many of the apps have a web version?
Of the ones we demoed today, so NFL Game Rewind definitely does. NFL Preseason Live, WatchESPN does. The NFL Sunday Ticket obviously does.
So you're saying they have both strategies in most cases, and not
correct.
On the mobile app.
So let me AirPlay this right quick so I can show you from my sports folder kind of who does and who doesn't. All right. So Sunday Ticket does WatchESPN, NFL Game Rewind, Preseason Live, ScoreCenter, and you got ESPN.com, which is effectively replicating it. The NFL app, NFL.com, gives you most of the same information. CBS Sports, which we didn't talk about, same sort of idea. You can watch the 2:30 Saturday game via their iPad app, in the same way you can stream it live from their website, so whatever the SEC matchup is. A lot of these, you'll notice, are ESPN branded apps. Let me move this up a little bit. And obviously they try to make it available across as many devices and platforms as possible. A couple that I didn't talk about, Chris, to your point, SportsYapper and SportStream. I'll just open these up right quick. Same sort of concept to where, in the same way as YellowFlag, it's trying to compartmentalize maybe some of the sports-related updates to where you can browse by, let me show you all fans here.
So this is everybody within the SportsYapper community talking about the Cleveland Browns, the New York Yankees, not relative to just college football or other football. And with this Game On tab, you can say, I'm watching this game, NFL game. If there was a game going on, it would put me into a chat room, effectively, kind of going back to old AOL days, and then everybody is talking about that one game simultaneously. Didn't have a lot of traction the first week of college football with this, so I kind of abandoned it. There just wasn't anybody talking. So again, fax machines aren't useful unless there's a fax machine on the other end. Same way with chat rooms. SportStream, I think, had a similar approach. Games are better with friends. Was there an Astros game tonight? I was passing by and I noticed some people out there. So let's see. So top of the fourth, 0-0, right? So we could hop in here, see stats about the game. You could check into the games, whether you're there or just watching it on TV, kind of like Get Glue does for television shows. Same sort of concept with this, except you're checking into watching the game. And then Bleacher Report is a pretty widely known property online. They have an app called TeamStream HD. Similar to the ESPN College Football app, you specify some of your favorite teams. I've got some of mine up here. Let's say I tap Auburn. I can see what some of the articles being published around the web are. They curate different Twitter accounts that they link to each of the teams here. So you notice the top one there is from a Twitter account called AU Blog, presumably an authority on Auburn football. Maybe, maybe not. Some of the articles I got in here I thought were kind of useless. Just kind of like site spam. There was no content necessarily on it. So I'm not sure what sort of algorithm they have pulling in some of the stories here or the tweets. But so I wouldn't necessarily recommend this one too at this point. If you're just interested in playing around with some, maybe worth a look. This one I haven't used, so I'm not really confident in telling you it's a great app, but College Football Radio, the idea is there are different online broadcasts of radio stations, kind of like TuneIn Radio, which you guys may have heard about before, but this allows you to not browse by station, but browse by game and then be told which local affiliates are likely carrying that game, and then you can listen to the stream online. So for Week 5, let's say I wanted to listen to the Baylor-West Virginia game, I could see Baylor radio stations broadcasting it, or these up here, West Virginia broadcaster this here. So if you like to listen to the hometown radio broadcast, this is kind of a cool option. Definitely easier to navigate than TuneIn in the context of sports. Not necessarily as beautiful or well laid out as TuneIn, but for a uni-purpose type application, this is pretty good. And then you can search by team as well here. All right, and let me try this NFL mobile. You guys have probably seen the ads on TV. I think Sprint had it for a few years to where if you paid $5 a month or something, you could listen to game audio each Sunday for the games on Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. I guess Verizon got that contract. Verizon has it now. And I just switched over from AT&T to Verizon, and I was like, okay, how much is it? $5 a month? Why not? I'll just test it out. So I bought this on Sunday this past weekend, and it's pretty cool, honestly. The video quality is about on par with NFL SundayTicket. It's not as good as WatchESPN nor the NFL Game Rewind app, but let's see if this works at all. So NFL Mobile. Can I turn this? No, I can't turn this. So let me just move this up some. So you'll notice at the very bottom here, I'm not going to click it right now, but I have a live button. I can watch NFL Network whenever I want, 7 days a week from this app. On Thursday night, I can watch Thursday Night Football from this app. And I think I get Monday Night Football from this app.
But is it still asking to...
No authentication with a cable provider here. No.
Now, what is
as long as you're paying Verizon,
as long as you're paying Verizon, you can totally circumvent. Exactly. So it's $5 a month. It allows you to watch NFL Network. It also allows you to hear the radio broadcast of all the games. So let's see, teams. Choose the Saints here. So you'll notice I can see some stats about them. I can see this upcoming schedule for them, different player breakdowns, who my roster is. I think if I try to AirPlay anything, it's going to tell me it's not compatible. When I was testing this last night, it didn't really work, so I'm not going to do that. Players, roster, media, profile. So about as dense information-wise as just the standard NFL app, but the value you get out of this one, why you're paying $5 a month, is you get access to the NFL Network around the clock, regardless whether you're a cable subscriber or not. So if you're a cable cutter, it's probably a cost-effective option, and you get game audio if you like to listen to that. Let me try hitting live and see what happens. So HDMI, TV out, cable plugged in. So I'm trying to AirPlay, it says no, and it's not going to work probably until I kill reflection. Or it may have just crashed my phone, either way. No, it didn't. It's just going to do that. So, yeah, that was about the battery of apps I wanted to talk about. Are there any others that you guys have used, maybe in the audience, or that you're curious about? Maybe we can download them right now. ESPN Fantasy Football, okay. So let me get that. The iPhone app or Android app? Okay, let me pull that up. All right, let's ESPN. I did not know that. So we shouldn't talk about the Astros is what you're telling me. Even though they're a stone's throw away from where we're at right now here. All right, so we've successfully installed the Fantasy Football app. Okay, let me AirPlay from this. Go back to camera mode. We're going to do this.
I'm not sure if you have to have a camera or not, but it looks like it shows some of that same content from that earlier app.
From the ESPN ScoreCenter app?
Because you have to create a team, right? You have to
right.
go in the league, so some of those elements may not show.
Okay, let's.
You don't have the league, you don't belong to. You notice the green, you see
yeah, it's similar design-wise.
It's very similar.
But it's making better use of the screen in this one relative to the other one.
The only thing that's different if you are a fantasy league player is that gets pushed down, that content, and above that on your teams.
Okay, yeah, this looks surprisingly identical, so they're probably leveraging a lot of the same code base here.
Yeah, they just built a platform,
yep.
Right? And they're just using that to kind of leverage across devices.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go back here. Latest headlines.
But the league part of it is nice because if you're in multiple leagues, it'll have all of your teams on one screen. And you can scroll through versus on the web. You have to kind of get out of it, go back into a different league directory and see.
Right. Good suggestion. I'll definitely play around with this one.
Yeah, but I imagine it's using those same free ESPN highlights.
Yeah, you're right. They want to make it available in as many apps and across as many devices as possible.
They have a lot of apps, right?
They do.
ESPN.
Yeah, let's just search in the Google Play Store. If I search for ESPN, I'm sure we'll be shocked by the sheer number. Yeah.
So versus trying to put it all into one app, you're diversifying and trying to specialize each app.
Right, so ScoreCenter, WatchESPN, the fantasy football, radio, I've gotten all the top ones there. Then fantasy baseball, college basketball with bracket bound.
They tried to do that in their own app originally, and it didn't work.
John, do you have the ESPN Chicago app?
I do not.
Seems like a missed opportunity. ESPN FC. Yeah, they have a ton here. Then I think we get down. You know, one app that I didn't talk about tonight, and it's for a good reason, is Sportacular. I loved that app until Yahoo bought them. It blew away what ESPN was doing with their ScoreCenter app. I mean, it was the best. As soon as push notifications were launched in iOS 3 or 4, I forget which one, they had the best use of it. Anytime there was a scoring play, within seconds you would get it on your iPhone. So if you were away from a TV and you wanted to catch up, you know, who scored what on any of the college or NFL games, you knew right away. It's unfortunate that they kind of went down the crapper.
Sports is strong.
They are. I mean, they have tons of content. Absolutely. ESPN was slow to get out of the block, but now they seem to have mastered it across the mobile platforms. ScoreMobile? Now let's look for that. ScoreMobile, sports and scores. So we focus this. Okay, from Score Media Ventures. Over 1 million downloads. Interesting. All right, let's install that. Accept.
It's a few nice. It's pretty simple, right? It has, like as I said, it also has soccer, right? The cognitive sport, which you distance yourself from. But I get the notification when Fulham score a goal, or when the Redskins score a touchdown against the Saints, or like that.
You're digging yourself a hole over there, sir.
It not only has American football, but world football.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
So this is your app of choice, huh? Okay.
So you go to whatever.
Let's do NFL.
Tap on one of those.
All right, let's choose Carolina, Atlanta, some NFC South teams.
You have a calendar, a function. Calendar in blue.
Yep, let's tap calendar.
So that goes directly to your iCal and sets the date for the game. So, you know,
interesting.
I know you're a calendar freak.
I am a calendar freak.
Look at everything. So one tap, you save, and then everything's sorted, and it tells you which network's on, that kind of stuff. You can also track that game, right? So basically, you can decide what you want to track. It's just.
So does that send you notifications?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's telling you the game started, the game ended, score, and like.
So that's what I'm currently using ScoreCenter for, ESPN ScoreCenter, and what I was using Sportacular for before then. But
you can say if it's in the red zone.
Yeah. So within the 20. Yeah. That's one thing I forgot to mention about the NFL SundayTicket app. It does allow you access the NFL Red Zone channel, regardless of what time it is. So even if it's not game day, they still have content on the Red Zone channel where they're showing stuff from the previous. That's the NFL SundayTicket one. So the $250 one. All right. Any other recommendations from the audience? Put back out there. Let's see if there were any others here.
So the ESPN International piece you mentioned. So there's some content which is available in the UK, for example, which.
It's basically syndicated ESPN content, so they don't have access to the ESPN channel around the clock, but there's certain programs that they do put on there, and then they acquire the rights from like Fox or CBS for certain NFL games, and they'll broadcast it on the, I think it's ESPN America. Let me Google that right quick.
There's a channel.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about then. So ESPN America. I can type. Yeah, ESPN America. Well, you can get this in a lot of countries internationally because my parents get this in Saudi Arabia. So this is what they get to watch some of the NFL games, the NFL game of the week.
You can see, or let's say, if you look at Israel, Africa, Middle East.
So Europe and the Middle East. Yep. ESPN Israel, ESPN Africa. So the Canada Walls can watch that while they're traveling.
So if this would be of any interest to you, I guess you could tunnel like back to the UK.
True.
BBC, right?
You could set up a VPN like you did for the Olympics with the BBC, you're right. But presumably most of the content that you would get on this anyway, you're already getting here, right? So it may be kind of a castle in the sky. All right, so just to wrap up here, there's ScoreMobile finally downloaded on this app over here, this device. So just wanted to give a plug for a couple of upcoming community events, both here and around Houston. So the Houston Android Developers Meetup, typically that's either here at START or at Idea Interactive or Chai One. They don't have a location picked out for next Tuesday, but it's at 6:30 p.m. If you just Google Houston Android Developers Meetup, you'll get all of the information about it. Next Friday, Geek Gathering. This is something Technology Bytes Radio puts on. Dwight Silverman from the Houston Chronicle, James Kendrick's typically out there. A couple of the other guys from the Tech Bytes radio show are there. At cons, it's a wine and dart bar. I don't know if you guys have been there. Kind of a cool scene. Everybody gets out there with their shiny gadgets, newest software, and just kind of geeks out, similar to what we do here. And then looking later into October, Houston iPhone Developers Meetup will be here on Tuesday the 16th. So if you're interested in meeting some of the guys who make these applications, if you have a cool idea for an app, get out some of these meetups and you'll learn more about how they're created. So I like to end with a monthly mission. So this was the Game Rewind app we've talked a lot about. Go to the Facebook group if you guys have app recommendations, even those of you online who are watching this, that you use that we didn't talk about tonight, which are cool. Tell us about them. Just post links to them in the Google Play Store or the App Store. Everybody, I think, in the group is always eager to learn about new ones. And looking towards next month, we'll be meeting back here on October 24th, 6:30 p.m. Don't have the topic picked out just yet. Hopefully it'll be something as interesting as tonight. If you have certain things you'd like to learn about, just post it on the Facebook group and we'll try to accommodate that. So thanks for coming down, everybody. Feel free to stick around. We still got a lot of beer and pizza over there. Thank you to those of you who watched online and hope to see you out here next month. Bye.